Well, it's time now for our business update. Yuka Royer is here in studio with me for that. Yuka, you're starting with the ongoing situation in Ukraine and that threat by Vladimir Putin to potentially cut off gas supplies to Europe.
Well, the Russian president has triggered his most powerful political weapon to hit back at Western sanctions, and that is, of course, energy. Now, he signed a decree demanding that foreign buyers from unfriendly countries pay in rubles as of Friday. European leaders rejected the demand quickly as a breach of supply contracts. The EU plans to cut reliance on Russian gas anyway by 2/3 by the end of the year, but energy has been the main challenge to European resolve to confront Moscow over Ukraine. The US government, meanwhile, says it's just a sign of desperation coming from President Putin.
This is just another indication of the dire straits that Russia's economy is in. But this is a reflection of the fact that the sanctions, the export controls, the other economic measures, including the additional measures that we announced today, have had a significant, substantial, profound effect on the Russian economy. That President Putin purportedly is now demanding payment in rubles, something he had not had to do previously.
Well, what does this all mean in practical terms? Well, it wasn't immediately clear if there might be a way for foreign firms to continue paying in euros or dollars. Putin's decree sees a mechanism under which foreign buyers set up special accounts at Gazprom Bank and deposit foreign currency, which the bank converts to rubles on their behalf. Now, the bank is among the two notable exceptions from an earlier sanction which kicked 7 Russian banks out of the SWIFT transaction messaging system. It says that it already has the technology to comply with this new order, but foreign currency conversion would involve Russia's central bank at some point, which could mean, even indirectly, that Western nations may be forced to evade their own sanctions. In theory, Russia can turn off the tap any day, but that's unlikely to happen. Even at the height of the Cold War, the Soviet Union didn't stop gas exports, and payments for gas deliveries in April is not due for another few weeks. Meanwhile, the United States is taking further action to tame soaring petrol prices. President Joe Biden announced a plan to release 1 million barrels of oil per day from the country's strategic reserves for the next 6 months. The total 180 million barrels will be the largest ever use of the US emergency stockpiles. Berike Bahel has the details.
Tapping into their stock to bring down prices. On Thursday, US President Joe Biden ordered a record release from the country's strategic oil reserves, since Russia's invasion of Ukraine has pushed up fuel prices at the pump.
Today, I'm authorizing the release of 1 million barrels per day for the next 6 months, over 180 million barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
The president said he had decided on the measure in consultation with Western partners, who've joined the US in imposing economic sanctions on Russia, as European countries have pledged to wean themselves off Moscow's energy. Biden also expressed his distaste at American oil producers profiting off the high prices, calling on them to prioritize what's right and increase supply.
I say enough. Enough of lavishing excessive profits on investors and payouts and buybacks when the American people are watching. This is the time, not the time to sit on record profits. It's time to step up for the good of your country, the good of the world, to invest in immediate production that we need to respond to Vladimir Putin.
It's the third time in the past 6 months that the president has used the strategic stockpile. In November, the Biden administration announced the release of 50 million barrels in coordination with other countries. And since the war in Ukraine, he agreed to release 30 million barrels in an effort to reduce surging oil prices, but the effect was limited. Washington's emergency reserves currently have just over 568 million barrels in stock, holdings they maintain in case imports dry up.
Global oil futures tumbled on that announcement before stabilising somewhat. International benchmark Brent crude currently trading at around $103 a barrel. This as the world's major consuming nations are meeting later this Friday. Emergency talks at the International Energy Agency aim to find ways to ease the impact of soaring oil prices on the global economy. prices have risen more than 30% this year. And let's take a look at what's happening on the world stock markets now. And European shares started trading relatively flat this Friday, as you can see there, as investors obviously continue to watch the developments in Ukraine. Earlier in Asia, shares were mixed, with the Shanghai Composite ending the day up 0.8 of a percentage point. And finally from me, Amazon may see the birth of a historic first labour union of its workers in the United States. Votes on whether to unionize took place at 2 Amazon warehouses, one on Staten Island in New York and another in Bessemer, Alabama. Early results indicate that while a no vote may prevail in Alabama, union organizers on Staten Island may be heading for a landmark victory at the second largest private employer in the United States. Amazon has mounted a fierce challenge to a vote on organised labour, warning employees that unions could force them to go on strike. It has also raised pay and offered more bonuses. Let's hear from a representative of a labour union in Alabama supporting the vote at Amazon.
Workers here are also sending a clear message. It's long past time for Jeff Bezos to return to Earth and to start dealing with the very real problems his employees face every day at his facilities all across the country.
And the final results from both sides will come in the next few hours.
Yuka Royer, thank you so much for that business update. That's Yuka Royer from our business desk.